And that should be about it as far as housekeeping goes.
All right, thanks, Anna. So we have a combo session for you this morning. So we will begin with Logan Murray and Mike Vogt. Logan is our um, project analyst for CVC OEI, and Mike is project management and operations supervisor for CVC OEI. So they will present the first 15 minutes, and then we will have Laura Gibbs, online instructor for the University of Oklahoma, that will present on JavaScript. So Logan and Mike, everybody welcome them and have at it.
Right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And let's see here. There we go. Okay. So everybody see the Canvas home base. So thank you again for attending today. We're going to talk a little bit about the Canvas home base, CCC Canvas home base. It's a community space. We'll kind of go through some of the features, how you can participate and join this site and start contributing to that community. And then we'll have a little bit of time at the end for any questions that may come up. So just a little introduction. What is the Canvas home base? Well, this is a community space provided by Instructure that is dedicated for all the CCC Canvas users. And as you can see, we've got a little scrolling banner kind of going through some of the highlighted content that's available to our users. I'm going to run through all of what you can do on this site and what we encourage you to do, but first things first, I always recommend saving the site location in an easy to find place, because as you're navigating throughout the site, sometimes you have to click out to something else and then you want to be able to click right back. And so once we've done that, I'm going to walk through kind of how to log in so that you can join this site and participate. So all you have to do is navigate to the site and then click on login, and it's going to ask for where you want to authenticate from. And so usually you'll have your home college already available. If you're logged in to Canvas in another window, it's actually going to automatically sign you in once you select that location. So in this case, I didn't want to automatically. I want to sign in with something I've never signed in before. So we can kind of walk through this process. Let's see here. Let's try a new one. Oh, can everybody see my screen still? Mm-hmm. Okay. Here we go. And I'm going to try test. All right. So that was all I had to do because I was logged in another window, and then you see up here, now I've got this little icon. I've got my name, my picture up here. And so now I'm able to participate in the group. If you don't automatically log in and join the site, you can always select the following button here, and then select join group. I'm already in this group, so this allows me to leave, but I don't want to do that right now. So just make sure you're following, and then that's pretty much it. You're a member of the site now. It automatically acceptance. So this little scrolling bar just kind of highlights some things that are unique to our CCC Canvas community. You can always search for throughout the entire site with our little search feature over here. This recent activity bar is showing everything that our users are doing on this site, what they've recently created or shared with the group. So you can see someone has shared idea requests, and we're going to go through kind of what those are in a little bit. There's also a number of people who have created and shared the Can Innovate events, which is great. They're promoting this out in the community, out in the general larger Canvas community, which is awesome. We also have an area to kind of highlight upcoming events. So if they aren't in the recent activity, they're just the event section is highlighted here. And then we can also, this links out to what's coming next in Canvas. So if you're ever curious about what's kind of on the roadmap for future releases, you can come here and kind of browse some of those updates that are coming. So we just link that out from this site. And then we've also got our few items we really want to highlight. It's just static things to kind of point everyone to. And that is our bite-sized canvas from our wonderful colleagues over at One. Just quick snippets of how to do things in Canvas, some new creative ideas. We also have our monthly newsletter from our colleagues at Instructure. Kelly and Anna, our great CSM team, put out a monthly newsletter of things that are on the horizon. So click on that and you can kind of see what new announcements are out there. And then also a link to an overview of Canvas courses that are available from @One, where you can sign up for additional training and interaction with other Canvas users in a closed Canvas course. So those are great opportunities. They have free and paid opportunities. They're extremely impressive content, so I highly recommend those. So we just kind of created some easy ways for you to access that. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Logan, and he's going to kind of run us through some of these buttons down here at the bottom. These buttons all link out to the larger Canvas community. So this stuff that you're kind of seeing here is a great way to channel and focus things that are relevant to our community, our CCC Canvas community. But we are part of a much larger community, the Canvas worldwide community. And so we do want to take advantage of all that has to offer, just to kind of highlight that. There's a quote from author David Weinberger, who said, "The smartest person in the room is the room itself." And it's kind of talking about the power of the internet as a place to share ideas and crowdsource problems by kind of drawing on that collective wisdom of the community. And we are a community, the California Community Colleges, and this is our space. So we hope this website is a great place for you to kind of connect with other CCC community members and also the greater Canvas community. And then hopefully you'll find that helpful for kind of building and promoting some of those interactions among our California community colleges. So with that, I'll turn it over to Logan and take it away.
All right, great. Let me share my screen here. Okay, can you all see that? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So good morning, everybody. My name is Logan Murray, and today I'm going to show you a couple areas of the Canvas community that we feature directly from the CCMS home base that Mike had mentioned. Specifically, we're going to talk just very briefly about Canvas guides and Q&A. So these are two areas of the community that we want to talk about. So first is the Canvas guides, and what the Canvas guides is for the uninitiated is an area of the Canvas community where you can find official documentation on how to perform certain tasks within Canvas. So we're just going to pop in here real quick. So in here you'll see sort of three major categories of support. The first are the how-to guides, and you'll see here that they're organized by role within Canvas. So instructor, student, admin, observer. And then the reference documentation, the second category, is sort of similarly organized to the how-to guides, but they're more organized by functional area within Canvas. So if there's a specific area of Canvas that you have an interest in or a question about that you want to learn more about, reference documentation is another place to sort of explore. And then the third major category is the technical resources. These are a bit more advanced topics that are geared towards primarily data gathering about interactions within Canvas. And then up here at the top, there's, of course, a global search bar where you can include a search term, and then it'll pull up articles from from these three major categories of support. So that's a very, very brief overview of the how-to guide. So, to learn more, I encourage you just to get in there and explore. So the next area I want to kind of briefly touch on that we feature in the CCMS home base is the Q&A portion of the community. Q&A is a place to both seek and to offer help by asking questions and also responding to questions among the greater Canvas community. So in some cases, questions are that you may have are more sort of context specific to your organization and might not be covered in the Canvas guide. So in those cases, Q&A might be your place to explore or to start. And it's also a bit more of an interactive space than the Canvas guide. So we're just going to pop in here real quick again. You'll see here, as it's refreshing here, there we go, that there's a place there's a button where you can begin to search questions within the Q&A database, and also a place to ask a question. So, a recommended workflow, if you should have a question, might be to first start to, search your question and see if there's an existing conversation around that issue or question. And then in the case that there is, you can jump right into that conversation. But in the case where, you're not able to find that issue, there's a place where you can ask that question too and sort of pull on the greater community. So the final, I would kind of cap this piece off by saying that, a community like this really relies on people not just to ask questions, but also to get in there and to respond to questions within the community. So for those that are, maybe further along in their knowledge of Canvas, I would definitely, encourage those category of folks to get in there and, maybe to respond to a few questions as well. And so that's about it. From here, I'm just going to turn it back over to Mike. So thanks.
Thanks, Logan. Okay. So let's see here. Okay, and we're back. So I'm going to dive into the last two buttons here. Again, a lot of what we're talking about today is really kind of centered around the content of our little community. So everything that we do here is kind of housed within the Canvas CCC user group. But you can create stuff out in the larger community and then share it back to this group. And so that's what we kind of recommend doing for whenever you're creating content, unless it's really unique to our particular group. If you're asking a question, or maybe you're sharing an idea, or even creating an upcoming event that maybe, even if it's just for us, like you see the Can Innovate thing, or events that were posted, they're actually posted to the larger community, and thanks to those posts, we've had an outpouring of attendees from all over the country. So it's a great way to kind of showcase material at the higher level, and then also you can share it back to our level so we can kind of create those discussions about those unique items that are relevant to just our community. So for sharing ideas, you can explore kind of the current roadmap of ideas, and then look at if there's an existing idea, or maybe if you have an idea that you don't see out there that you've looked for, it's a great place to create one. And what are ideas? If you haven't looked at this before, ideas are feature requests, essentially, where users have come in and said, hey, it'd be great if Canvas could do this. And so they create an idea and they've kind of flushed out, exactly what that looks like. And you can see, like, for example, this one, someone's, gone into quite a bit of detail about what we really need. And then that once you post that, it's open to the community to vote on. And so if you create an idea, we highly recommend that you use the hashtag CCC, because it is very helpful for when we can come in and just kind of do a filter by tag, and you can look up CCC. You can also post these hashtags in, I was in the wrong field, in comments, and that way it's a great way to kind of, so you can see I did one where I posted this in a comment. And then you can also share it back to that larger group. So I can click on this button and see I'm a member of the CCC home base, and I'm going to share that back to our group. And so now when we go back here and we look at ideas, which again, you can click on content and then look at ideas. Ideas kind of show up, kind of sort by latest activity. There it is. So you can see I've saw something out in the general community and I said, hey, I want our California Community College community to kind of promote this and vote for this thing. I think it would really help our community. So I'm going to share it to this group. And then we can all go in and kind of make our voices heard. Collectively, we have a large platform. So that's just a brief overview of how to kind of create and then share content back to this group. And the same for events. You can go out to upcoming events. You can create an event here, view other upcoming events. You can see we've had a couple of users who just went to town and created one for every session that we have today. And that was awesome because people have registered thanks to these events. And then they shared them back to our general community so that they show up here. So it's out there and it's also here, so we can kind of talk about it and have discussions around it. You can also create discussions, blog posts that are relevant just to us, and you can create those right here. And that way we can start kind of generating some of these conversations just with our community members, just with our CCC community members. So it's a great platform where we can all interact and talk about what have we encountered in Canvas, good things, bad things, challenges, maybe workarounds to some of those challenges. So that's just kind of a brief overview. I want to open it up to some questions. Do we have any questions from the community?
So we have a few questions here. Just to confirm, is this site available to universities not part of the CCC?
It is available to universities not part of the CCC. Is a join group, but it's open to anyone to join, essentially.
Okay, and any organization then can create a home base in groups?
Yes, great question. Yeah, so highly recommend talking to your CSMs because every group, interest group, in theory, can have one of these kind of community groups. So if you kind of work through your CSM to kind of get connected to that, they will be able to put you in touch with what group you may be a part of. If you're part of a larger network, they'll create a community space for you.
Okay. And if you have, you teach for more than one college, you have separate sign-ins for each. Is there any way to combine those? Just to confirm that.
Good question. Well, unfortunately, no. That's the short answer. But if you look at it in one way, you could follow it with each of them, and then you essentially have 3 votes for the next idea. So you have, kind of stuff the ballot box, so to speak. So unfortunately, there is not a way to combine those easily.
Okay, awesome. Is Adobe Flash going away? There's a rumor.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question?
Is Adobe Flash going away? And
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Most of what you're seeing here is just tools that are native within the community space. So if they're running on Flash, I believe Canvas or Instructure will probably support those until they provide another alternative.
Okay. Okay, now here, Joseph asked, can we share the student guides in our resource modules with our classes?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and we highly encourage that. All of those student guides, I mean, that's one of the best things I've encountered with Canvas as a learning management system. I've worked with about half a dozen learning management systems in my career, and Canvas has by far the best open resources, help documentation. So those are all available. They're all free out there in the community. We just, this link here is just a way to kind of easily connect you with those, but anyone can access them. Students are available to them as well.
Okay, awesome. let's see here. Let me make sure I've
Any additional questions?
Do you have a link for instructions on how to allow a visitor into the course?
That's great.
And it looks like, okay, so for...
there we go. I'm back. Sorry. My volume was turned down.
Okay. It looks like that question can be answered later on in another session. So I think we're good there. Do we need to create an account to access this site? And
you do in order to join the site. You can access the site, you just can't participate in the site. So you still have access to all the links that are on this site, but you will not be able to create or interact in that content space. So it's great if you can join the site, and then you can participate, but you will need to create a one-time creation of an account. And so you just sign in with your Canvas credentials, wherever those may be, and then join the page from there once you create the account.
okay, awesome. All right, we have a couple more questions, and but we are going to go ahead into the next session with Laura. So we will we'll work on answering those questions in the Q&A. So now everyone welcome Laura Gibbs. She'll be talking to us about JavaScript magic in Canvas, randomizing widgets without coding. So everyone, once again, welcome Laura.
Okay, let's see if I can get the screen share to work. Share screen, application window, share. All right, is that working?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, I'm going to start my little timer. I think people who know me know that I tend to talk too much. But what I've got here is a Canvas site that I wanted to share with people. And it's got a simple URL, caninnovate.lauragibbs.net. And I would really urge you to open that up in a window if you can and take a look, because I will be talking about slides from a slide deck. But to actually see the dynamic content, can't do that in slides, but the idea here is I've got some of these randomizing widgets going on over there in the sidebar. So everybody's going to see something different when they come to this site. And that's kind of the power of what I want to talk about today is things that are not the same, right? A random experience, new content for every time your students come to Canvas or wherever they're looking at your content. Now, I'm going to pop open the slideshow now, and let's hope that's working. And you can access that slide deck. And once again, I would urge people to access the slide deck there in the Canvas space, because you can click on the links, right? If you're just watching this through the Zoom, I don't think the links are clickable, but if you open up your own version of the slide deck, they will be. So caninnovate.lauragibbs.net, we already talked about that, so we can just keep on going. The tool I use to create these randomizers is called rotatecontent.com. That's a free tool that a student of mine built over 15 years ago. Can you believe that? So back then I knew I wanted a tool like this because I've loved random forever. And so I hired this wonderful student, Randy Hoyt. He's now a board game designer, to build this tool 15 years ago, and it still works. He still hosts it. It's still free to use, and we focused on JavaScript when we built it, and that's proved to be a really sustainable technology. These JavaScripts are still going strong. And the whole idea with Rotate Content is that you don't write JavaScript. You just feed in the content, and then rotatecontent.com will turn it into JavaScript for you. I'll say more about that later. So the theme here, right, is instead of big data, people who know me, I'm on my crusade against big data. I'm not really interested in personalization, surveillance, creating things that are customized for users in a predictable way. I want things that are unpredictable, right? I really believe in emergent learning, curiosity, serendipity, all the good things that can happen by surprise, right? And so I'm going to be talking about randomizers and the power of random. And in addition to that sort of philosophical perspective of how you feel about predictability or not, I like surprises, randomization also has some very practical values. You can share lots of content in a really small space, right? That's very useful. And you can have fresh content, new content automatically all the time, 24/7, without you having to change the content. So those are the kinds of features that prompt me to use these randomizing widgets. Like I said, no coding required. What happens when you use rotatecontent.com is that you put your content into a table, an HTML table, a web page, and you just put the word random down one column and the content you want to put in the widget in the right-hand column. And then Rotate Content spits out a script. And, you know, I saw there were some programmers and former programmers in the audience. You know how that JavaScript works? I don't know how JavaScript works. I just let Rotate Content spit it out for me. Then I use it. And I also share a lot of my scripts with you. So you don't even have to make these widgets. You are free to just copy and use my widgets. So what kind of content, what kind of HTML content could you put in that table? Well, you can put text in there, as you saw, but you can also put links. You can put images. You can put videos. You can put video playlists and put other dynamic JavaScripts in the randomizer. So you can randomize all the things. And what I'm going to do for the rest of the presentation is just walk you through some examples of how I have done that with these different kinds of content. And maybe that will give you ideas for different kinds of content you might want to randomize. So randomizing text, that was the example I showed a minute ago, where there were the classic responses for the magic 8-ball in the randomizer. And so you take the randomizer and it turns into a magic 8-ball. You can click on the link if you've got this presentation up in a window and see how that works. Unfortunately, you can't run JavaScripts inside a Google slide, but the idea is that you get the random text response up there, or you can consider it a message from the gods, whatever. And I just added a static image to go with that particular widget. So it's always the same magic 8-ball, different text every time. You can randomize links. This is really powerful for me teaching. The example I have here on the screenshot shows something that my students see every week, which is that I use a randomizer to have them connect and comment on each other's stuff in class. This is that kind of practical efficiency of the randomizer. It allows me to spread the comments out over a large class. Someone asked earlier in the keynote about how to manage large classes. I tell you, randomization is powerful at scale. I don't do a lot that works at scale, but randomization really does work at scale. It spreads all the comments out at random through my class. I don't have to put students in group. I just have faith in the power of random, that from week to week, using the randomizer to assign students to comment on each other is going to spread those comments out and make sure everybody is equally connected in the class. It's just fun. You know, for the students, when the randomizer tells them who to comment on, it's that magic 8-ball experience. It's that divination experience. It's like, whoa, the randomizer is telling you who to comment on. No one knows until you hit refresh who you're going to be commenting on. You can also randomize images. This is the main thing I do with my randomizer because I love images, but you can only have so many images on a page at once, right? So this tarot deck randomizer is something I built for Autumn Canes really this summer, but I love tarot art. I don't know a lot about the art of tarot. And so I made this tarot card randomizer. I made a version where you can get the cards upside down, even though that's kind of freaky. And you can play with that and see how that works. It's one of the things in the sidebar there at Can Innovate. Now, when I put images in the randomizer, it's not just eye candy, right? My goal is to make this educational, useful, productive. And so each time I put an image in a randomizer, there's some kind of link and text that goes with it. A lot of my randomizers have these kind of motivational motivational poster type graphics. And so I make sure to put the text there from the image, and then a link that in this case goes to the Mindset Cat blog, a blog post that just puts that image in context, gives more information about it, maybe more links to go farther and learn more. Now, text, links, these benefit everybody, right? I'm putting those texts and those links with the images to make this more useful for my students, accessible to everybody in the broader sense of accessibility. What does it mean to access information online? But of course, there's also alt text tags to further increase the accessibility of those images. And since this is HTML content, yes, you can have the alt text tag to go with the images in the randomizer. What the randomizer does is display the HTML that you would put in the table, which includes the alt text tag. And I was poking around and experimenting just to make sure that was working properly when I put the alt text tag, that it would come through on the images. And I found this really cool tool I wanted to share with people. It's the Collusion Image Alt Text Viewer, an extension that works, I think, in all the major browsers. I'm using it here, I guess, in Chrome. And it's a way where you can turn the alt text images on and off in a page, just toggling with this little plugin. Super useful. And so that's something I was using as I prepped this presentation, just to make sure that the alt text tags were working as expected. So text, links, images, you can also randomize videos. This is something really fun to do, right? Because I don't know about you, but I bookmark lots of images, lots of videos that I want to share with my students. Randomizing images is good. Randomizing videos also good. And so I made a special randomizer for this presentation where I randomized the bite-sized widgets, bite-sized videos for a demonstration. And it's also something that you can take and use in Canvas if you want. Like I said, click on that link and you can learn more about it. You can also randomize video playlists, right? That's a little bit different than randomizing a video. And this, in a way, can be more powerful because that playlist contains some videos in it. Randomized playlists, you get more and more videos. Click on the link and you can see how I use that for myself. Anyway, very useful for me. Finally, you can randomize the randomizers, right? You can take actual JavaScript, stick those into your HTML table and have the randomizer randomize that. And so for this presentation, I made something just for fun. I took all my different lolcat widgets, the growth mindset cats, the Latin lolcats, the Shakespearean cats, and the grammar cats, and I randomized them. Not useful for anybody, but it was fun as a demo. And there are people in the audience, I think Liz Stevenson is out there, who's seen me making these cats for like 10 years. They pile up. And so the randomizer is a way to give people access to all the cats. You can also randomize Twitter. This was the most fun thing I did to prep for this presentation, which was I made a randomizer that you can use in Canvas. That's a screenshot from Canvas there on the slide. I took 20 Twitter accounts that I really like, magazines mostly, that are at Twitter that you can read, like Eon and Public Domain Review and all kinds of good magazines. The Onion is in there too, I think, and made it so that those show up at random. Now, all the things I've been talking about with the JavaScripts, they apply to Twitter widgets too, because Twitter widgets are JavaScript. So special bonus, I have a separate Canvas course where I talk all about how you can do these Twitter things in Canvas. So you're probably wondering, how is this even possible? JavaScript's in Canvas, right? You've probably tried to paste, or have tried to paste a JavaScript into a page in Canvas, and the HTML editor just gobbles it up and doesn't even tell you it's an error message, just gone. The trick in Canvas for JavaScripts, and I learned this at the Canvas community, right, is that you have to use iframes. And so the idea is that your JavaScript is not what's running in the page. What's running is the page that displays the JavaScript. That sounds kind of metaphysical. It's just a trick that you learn. I learned it from Kona Jones' husband, Jones, at the community, and it is really the key to success in Canvas, feeling confident about using iframes. And to use an iframe, all you have to do is copy and paste it into the Insert Edit Media area that you'll see all over the place wherever there's the rich text editor in Canvas. So that's in Pages, that's in the syllabus. I should have pointed out that last one. Let me go back. That's a syllabus page in Canvas, and it's displaying random images from my course so that when students look at the syllabus page, they'll see some cool image that's actually linked to something in the course that they can go explore. Anywhere that you see the ability to insert, edit media in the rich text editor in Canvas, you can put widgets there, right? You just paste them in. So where are you going to find these widgets? I've got that widget warehouse, which you get to when you go to caninnovate.lauragibbs.net. Copy and paste away. I've got widgets kind of lying all over the internet, to be honest, because I've been doing this for 15 years. I've retooled a lot of them for Canvas. If you see a widget that I've put out there on the internet somewhere and it doesn't have an iframe with it to use in Canvas, just contact me. It'll take me like 2 seconds to make an iframe version that you can use in Canvas. You can also create your own randomizers. Now, to do that, you need to have your own web space in order to host them. But if your school can give you some web space, you're ready to go. Like I said, you don't have to know how to code. You just have to be able to copy and paste, save, upload, all those basic skills. That's all you need to create your own randomizers. Oops, sorry about that. Mighty texted at me. Okay, now the last thing I need to do, because I think I still have a minute left, is to say thank you for the chance to share these randomizers. Big thanks to Michelle and everybody at One. I also want to thank Randy Hoyt, who, like I said, the student from all those years ago who built this amazing tool. He now builds board games. They're at Foxtrot Games. His games are really cool, so check him out. He's just had a really successful Kickstarter just last week, in fact, for a new game. And I have to say, a huge thank also to Reclaim Hosting. Reclaim Hosting and their Domain of One's Own program is something that we have at my university, at the University of Oklahoma. That's the web space where I can host all the widgets that I created, all the images that are resources for those widgets, and that's how I can share them with everybody through that Canvas widget warehouse. So Domain of One's Own, Reclaim Hosting, they are absolutely fabulous. I wish everybody who used Canvas had a Reclaim account, and if you are interested in getting your own hosting just as an individual, they have some amazing individual hosting plans with the best support you can imagine by educators for educators. So thanks again to One, and thanks to Reclaim Hosting, and thanks to everybody out there. Listen to me for a whole 15 minutes, and I'll go ahead and stop now.
Thank
There's
you, Laura.
the alarm telling me I need to stop.
Thank you, Laura. So a couple questions here. Based on students' login, meaning each time a student logs in, will they still get the same information, but each student have their own randomized info?
No, actually, and that's one of the things that you do need to explain to students if you're going to use randomizers is it's there and then it's gone. You know, so if they see something that they're interested in, click now and bookmark. Click and bookmark is basically the mantra of my classes. Click and bookmark, save it, organize it, because the next time that page is up, it's going to be something else at random every time.
Okay, awesome. Can you address copyright issues, for example, the tarot card that you use?
Oh, yeah.
The image?
Tarot cards, those are from the Pamela Coleman deck. Fully in the public domain. Pamela Coleman, look her up. She is an amazing writer, artist from the old days, right? So that's why they're in the public domain. I got all those images from Wikimedia Commons. And so those tarot deck cards all link back to the Wikipedia article for the tarot deck cards. So they're super informative, all kinds of stuff, not just about the major cards, but the minor cards too. So that's why I use that particular tarot deck. It is public domain.
Okay, awesome. Can you randomize Instagram accounts?
Now, that is a very cool question about which I know nothing. But let me tell you how you randomize the Twitter ones, which is that you go in and you get the Twitter embed, publish.twitter.com, for the accounts that you want. And so you grab that code and you just paste it into the table. Instagram, I don't think, is as friendly about embedding. That's just my impression. But if Instagram will let you embed stuff in another web page, that's all you need and you're good to go.
All right, awesome. Keisha said go OU football tomorrow.
I have no football players in my class, but I have 3 cheerleaders and 6 roughnecks, and they had a hard time last week because, you know, their schooner tipped over. So yes, there's not going to be any Sooner schooner at the football game, as last week was not good. The football team is okay. It's just the cheerleaders had a rough week. So
It's great. All right, thank you again, Laura, and thank everybody. I'll go ahead and put the link here in the chat to all the resources for Mike and Logan and Laura again, thank you all so much. This was very informative, and I know a lot of people in the chat are very excited about what all of you presented to them. So I think we'll call it a day. All right, everyone, take care. Oh, and let me also reiterate that in that link, you'll be able to access the recording to this video about a week from now. All right, everyone, take care. Bye.
Bye, everybody.